I wanted to record this video to emphasise the importance I place on having the right tools at hand to do the job. And by tools I sometimes mean physical tools like the Wacom Tablet, but more often just quick keys like this that enable me to do things that I do on a regular basis quickly and effectively without any thought process going into creating them. And I do this not just to save time, but really to enable me to get on with my creative process without being distracted. I don't want to be distracted and thinking, how do I create a particular layer or a sharpen layer or a black layer? I just want to be able to press a key and get on with it. So yes, it saves time, but more than anything it allows me to focus on the job in hand, which is crafting the image to the artistic intent that I intended. And I'm going to come back to how you assign these keys, these function keys, using Photoshop Actions at the end of this video. But suffice to say, if I press the F2 key now and you watch up here in the layer panel, can you see a tidy up layer has been created? If I press the F3 key, then a sharpen layer has been created. And if you watch up here, if I press the F11 key, then a black layer has been created and it's gone black. So these are all really quick and effective ways to make things happen that you're going to do on a regular basis, that you're going to spend no time thinking about, just one press of a key and it does it. So I'm going to say I'll come back to the keyboard because I want to show you how to assign these function keys. But let me also now talk about what I consider to be my greatest asset, which is the Wacom Tablet. And anyone who knows me will know that I extol the virtues of this tool no end, because to me it's absolutely critical to my workflow, and you could take almost anything off of me but not my Wacom Tablet, because so critical is it. And it's great because I'm going to use it right now, and I'm going to pick up the pen tool from the brush tool from over here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to vary the diameter of this brush, and I'm doing it by running my hand around this ring. And that's all I'm doing. I'm just running my finger around the ring. And you can see how quickly I can move the size of the brush. And then you can assign keys. These are user programmable keys. And again, I assign them to things that I do on a regular basis. So that's to save. This is the space bar, so you can move about an image, and so on and so forth. And you can assign these how you want, but this is the way I've assigned them, and I'm regularly, frankly, changing and updating this as I find more effective ways to do things. And I think, well, actually I use that key more than I use that key. That ought to be at the top, or so on and so forth. And so these are my settings. If you choose to buy a Wacom tablet or any tablet, most tablets come with programmable keys, and in the handout there's a picture of this, and it will show you exactly how I've labelled the keys. And then on top of that there's the pen. So this is the pen that I'm drawing with right now, that I'm moving about the screen with, and on the pen there's a programmable rocker switch, and I use this to I'm pressing it now, and it just enables me to rotate the image, and once I let go, bang, it's snapped out. So if I want to draw a line along here in white, then I find that I can draw a steadier line by drawing at an angle. I don't know why, that just suits me. So if I now pick up the the brush tool, and I'm going to vary the size and make sure it's at 100%, and I'm going to draw a line, and okay, that's not super tidy, I'll take my time. And you can see it's not a bad line for freehand. If it was a narrower line, then it would be even more accurate, because obviously the waviness is being shown up because it's thick. But it really is a powerful tool, this Wacom Tablet, and for doing detailed work it is irreplaceable for me. I would not be able to do work dodging and burning to the degree of accuracy I do if it wasn't for this Wacom Tablet. So yeah, I absolutely recommend you get a Wacom Tablet. it gets a big tick from me. I want to move on now to the software plugin that I use, Photoshop plugin that I use more than any other, and that's the TK Action panel. And you can see it up here, I'm pointing at it now. And you load this into Photoshop, and it doesn't cost much. I looked last night, it's actually down to $29 for the full version. There's actually a free version which will do almost all of this, frankly. But even the full version is only $29. You load it in, and then you can put this toolbar down the side of your Photoshop panel. You put it wherever you want. And what this enables you to do, the TK Action panel was actually designed to do luminosity masking. So this is really where it's at, and you press this, and what it does is it gives you, it's showing me all the brightest parts of the image and so on and so forth. So it's a very accurate way to do masking based on brightness levels. And I do use that from time to time, but frankly not that often. Maybe 4, 5, 6 times a year when I've got a really difficult thing I want to select, then luminosity or brightness or colour is the way to go. But what I do use it for every single day are all these little quick commands, and all these are quick commands that enable you to do things that you do in Photoshop. You found another way to do in Photoshop, but it's a lot longer. So for instance, if you follow my cursor, here's create new layer, and you can see it's banged in a new layer up there. Here's, and we'll just give that a name so you can see what I'm doing. So call it test. And here's duplicate layer. Watch, if you keep your eye up here again. Here's duplicate layer. Here is delete layer, and you see it's gone again. Here is flatten image. Bang, it's flattened it. So we'll add another layer. And then up here are all the adjustments. So this is a brightness contrast layer. This is a black and white layer. So let's do the brightness contrast, and it's stuck in a brightness contrast layer for us. And now we can adjust the brightness. Then over here we could maybe then go to a black and white layer, and won't be particularly effective because there's not much colour in it anyway. And now we can adjust all the tones of black and white, so they're in real colours in the table the tablet's on. So you see we're adjusting that. And there are so many tools down here that I use all day, every day, and it's just a really quick and efficient way of calling up tools and actions that saves you having to think about it. If that wasn't enough, it's got the most phenomenal sharpening tool down here. I mean, this is industry leading web sharpening. So I was put onto the TK Action panel by a guy called Tony Spencer, who's without doubt the best landscape photographer I know, an ex-winner of Landscape Photographer of the Year, and he uses this for all his processing, the TK Action panel. And if it's good enough for Tony, then frankly I thought it's good enough for me. And he uses this, he put me onto the web sharpening, and it is a phenomenal web sharpening tool. I use it all the time. So all I would have to do when I decide on the size of the output, this is for DPIs, not for prints. Sharpening for prints is a different thing, and for that I use Nick Effects, and we're going to well, Nick Output Sharpener actually. And we're going to cover that right at the end of the course. But if I want to output for DPI, and the competition in question is 1600 pixels across, I put 1600 in there, and if it was 1200, so let's just to show you, actually 1400 is the other common. So 1400 horizontal, I press that and it goes away and it does its stuff, and it's created all these layers. It's based on the Unsharp mask sharpening tool, but it does other things as well. You can see the things it's done here. It's truly phenomenal, it really is, and I never use anything else for all my sharpening. I've used it now for 2 years and I find it is almost faultless. Just occasionally I might reduce the opacity. It comes in at 50% opacity, so 50% of the full effect, so you've got leeway to bring it up or down. I very rarely move it off of 50%. And if all of that wasn't enough, I'm going to shut this. it creates a new image for the sharpened one. If all of that wasn't enough, it also comes with a range of photo techniques. So by clicking this TK panel down here, you've got a range of things. So for instance, a vignette. I don't tend to use this that often, but just to demonstrate to you, we can put a vignette in and we go OK, and if I switch that on and off now, you can see it's put a vignette. But a tool that I do use extensively is this one called Clarity, and it brings in, look, it's put a separate layer up here to the right. It's suggesting a radius of 10 pixels, which I find is fine. I don't know whether it's going to show up on this because there's not enough detail, but if I switch it on and off, I think you can. Look, it's actually made all the dust specks come out. Watch the dust specks over here. There we go. You can see it's just made it pop a little bit. I find that a fantastic tool. I sometimes adjust the opacity of it, but I find it a very, very good tool. Certainly at the start of the dodge and burning process, I hit this clarity, put a clarity adjustment in first, and that really gives me a good start on my dodging and burning. So I cannot speak highly enough of the TK Action Panel. I'd strongly recommend you download the free version and give it a go. I don't know whether you'll feel a need to upgrade to the £25 version. By the way, that's a one-off fee. I've only ever paid it once. You get, as far as I can see, lifetime free upgrades. The guy's still alive. He's a guy called Tony Kuiper, hence TK. He's still alive. He's still at it in America. I've spoke to him several times on email asking him questions. He's always there, and he releases an update probably every 4 or 5 months. So he's still developing this tool. Fantastic tool. Can't speak highly enough of it. So to finish this little video, I just want to, I'm going to shut these images and we'll get back to the keyboard. I get rid of that, these effects that we put on. We made it go dark, and we'll get rid of that tidy up there. Okay, how do I assign these keys? Well, what you're going to do is create what's called a Photoshop action. So we're going to create one right now and assign it. We'll assign it to the F4 key because I've got nothing assigned to F4. And so the way you do that is that you go down to Actions. This is the way I set up my Photoshop workspace. You probably got your own way of doing it, but there is definitely the Actions panel there, and if you can't find it, all these panels are accessible under Window, and so you will be able to arrange your workspace, put in whatever tools you want, so on and so forth. But there's plenty of tutorials available on YouTube for that. You don't need me to tell you how to do that, but certainly Actions is going to be there, and we click on Actions, and what we want to do is to create a new action. So this automatically comes in. Here's all my actions that I've got so far, and I want to create a new one, which is this little symbol here. So create new action, and this little dialog comes up, and we'll call it workshop example action. You can see I'm still a one-fingered typist, by the way, or you can hear, and it's going to save it under the Davies action set. And I want to assign it to a function key, and I'm going to assign it to F4. And now you click record. And what Photoshop's going to do now is record every single keystroke that I make until I tell it to stop. So we'll do something really simple. We'll click record, and what it's saying is, if you assign it to F4, it will hide the shortcut for the paste command. Well, I don't use that anyway. So I've got no worries about assigning that shortcut to F4. I'm going to delete it anyway at the end of this example. So I go OK. And now you see that little button's gone to red. And what that's saying is everything you do from this point, I'm going to record. So what we're going to do, we'll make a new layer just by using the TK Action Panel, and we'll call it Workshop Example. Layer, return, and we will assign it a colour. I don't know whether you know you can do this, but if you right click on a layer, then you can assign it a colour. And I do this because it makes it really easy when you're looking at a multitude of layers, when you get a multi-layered document, image, sorry. Sometimes I might have 50, 60, 70 layers. If I colour all my, for instance, tidy up layers red, which I do, then I can instantly see them. So I have a little colour coding convention. But for the purpose of this exercise, we'll colour this one violet. And now, let's suppose that's my action done. That's what all I want F4 to do for me. Then I press stop. Now, trust me, I'm going to get rid of this now, and there we go, that's got rid of it. So if I now press F4 on my keyboard, and I promise you that's what I'm going to do, and you look up here at the layer panel, then you'll see that it is, the Photoshop has gone away, it has done the action that we asked, and it has created this new layer called Workshop Example Layer. If I want to get rid of that, and you go through and you assign your function keys as you see fit, create the little routines in the way I've shown you, and then you have those quick one key presses. And to get rid of them, very easy to get rid of, back to your actions panel, workshop example action, and delete the selection, yes, and then no longer will F4 key be assigned to that. So that brings us to the end of this video, and I just want to reiterate one more time. These tools and actions, and I've got lots of them, and I'm all the while constantly refining them and creating new ones, are not there just to save me time. Yes, they do save me time, but for me the most important thing of all is that they don't disrupt me from my creative flow. So I'm able to carry on working with the ideas in my head to get to the end point that I'm trying to get to without having been distracted, either A, in terms of time, or B, mental energy to think how to do something. And I consider that to be really important, and I would consider it to be one of the most important lessons that I've learned over the last couple of years of heavy duty processing.